Peace and light, fam. Always, I greet you out of a space of love and with the intention to share my experience. May it benefit you. I'm an avid sky watcher. Been so excited with this new moon, this cold moon, full moon that we have. And I just wanted to, of course, come talk to you a little bit about it and maybe give some insight on how you can navigate through it. There's so much information out. You, of course, don't have to take my word for it. It's so many different avenues and beautiful information out there. You can find what holds truth to you. I do want to start and just say that, again, when it comes to the things that I utilize for my experience, I share them in hopes that you can find truths with them. It is a beautiful time to be alive right now. And it is a beautiful time to be alive and aware, actively aware and conscious. Speaking to me, you know that I say it doesn't matter how many books you read, what books you read, what you know is how you apply it. And I know me personally, myself, that is my objective in communicating these things and these tools that I use. The accounts that I do follow online on Instagram and those that I do listen to, I believe they too have the same objective, trying to give us as a community, as a people's ways that we can reconnect in remembrance to some of the things that we've utilized for centuries to help us gauge this thing that is life, that is existence. And for me, existence is a side of creation. Existence is universal. When we think of a lot of things, we have our human perspective, but there is existence, which has its own set of universal laws. As human beings, however, we aren't just haphazardly placed. We do have creation and creative potential on our side. So again, I come to you with these things so that you can utilize them in your way to be able to, advance in this thing called life. I do want to say, like I said, it's a beautiful time to be alive. Society is changing, regardless if you are, okay with that, not okay with it, whether you recognize it or not. Just really take a look around and see how society is changing. A lot of times of chaos comes change. And if you look at our society right now, it's really chaotic. For me, being 33 years old, I know that society has changed so much just in the span as I watch my children grow and, the structure of society. So society is definitely changing. And there are those who are more abreast than others, meaning they, whether it's a code secret, whatever it is, they seem to have this inner knowing that is allowing them to move or experience it in a better way. But I'm here to tell you, we all have that capacity. What's happening in society right now isn't just a reflection of human actions or the entities that are controlling some of us humans. What's going on right now is a reflection of societal changes, global changes, world changes. It has a lot more to do with existence universally. Understanding, if you watched a previous video that I posted on YouTube, and I encouraged everybody to really look at the Queen's video that really talks about time and how it goes in the 9 cycles, and how we go through time. That's what's happening right now in the world, real time. The thing that we call as human beings time or existence has a certain flow, almost like the ebb and flow of the tides. So what we're experiencing right now is something that we can all tap into. And of course, I like to utilize nature as one of my biggest tools and guides. But however you do that, if it is understanding true time and what that means, how we cycle as human beings, how we cycle in existence, find some way to be able to be an active part in what's happening around you so that you don't experience the discomforts and the dis-ease that is kind of widely spread. So, having said that, I had a beautiful conversation. I was with a lovely group of individuals last night, and it was so awesome just to be not only invited out, but to be under the moon and the stars. And she was so bright, but to just have fellowship and to be able to have those conversations that sometimes are weighted, but are very much necessary. You know that I am such a fan of a temple of the moon. I use the cards and the almanac. Amazing. Amazing. One of the things that was put so simply by Miss Sierra, I love her as well, literally, was destiny and fate. Destiny basically really is our choices. How do we what do we choose to do in this thing that is existence, that is life? And our fate is how we respond to that. How do we respond to the experience, circumstances in this thing called life, this thing that is existence? How do we respond to it? So for me, understanding that aspect of destiny and fate definitely helped me to take hold of and take personal responsibility for how I'm maneuvering in this. And when I don't get desired results, how I can't make that better. So I think that's something that, I definitely wanted to share it with you, but I will also say take that into consideration. You know, you are a very active part of what's going on. Can you control everything and everybody? No, you cannot. Can you manage how you respond and the things that you're doing? Of course you can. I'm saying all this to say that, yes, there's a lot going on and so much information, but I do want you to know, tribe, that you do have active creative potential in the life that you are living right now and the life that you want to create. You do, I believe, need certain tools to be able to do this and certain awarenesses, and not just these awarenesses. You need to be active with this. So again, find any type of source that you can relate to, but just make sure that it has that objective, that it's to help benefit you. So, let's get into it. This moon, of course, you know, I look at different resources. I was really interested with this moon with the Farmer's Almanac because it really gave some lovely insight about the time. Now that we're getting closer to the winter solstice and the sun isn't out as long, the sun and the moon are actually visible at the same time, which I just think is cool. I don't know. Maybe it's just old conditioning. I just always remember thinking, oh, the moon is only out at night. That's not true. So right now, with this moon, the sun is going down and the moon is literally coming up. So they're both in the sky together. For me, that's a lot of lunar and solar energy. So I was just excited about that. And it also, this moon that we're experiencing, if you saw my post this morning, it was, I mean, huge because it's sitting on the horizon. When we look at the moon at night and it's up in the sky, it's really far away from us. But when the sun is coming up and the moon is not going away, but you know, it's losing visibility for us on this side and it's hovering right there on the horizon. It's just so big and supple, and I was just so excited with it. I embrace my weirdness. Uniqueness. You do the same. Okay, so let's get into it. The work that we're doing, or, you know, I would encourage us to do, is a lot of releasing, investigating, acknowledging in ourselves, and releasing of this whole year is a acknowledge, release type thing, so that in next year we will be in a better position to engage in life. So if you've been working on yourself, regardless if you've been following the lunar cycles or not, there's a lot of things going on. And this moon is not going to, or the energies that is associated with this new full moon is not going to let up. A lot of things are going to be shaken up. A lot of things are going to be brought to the forefront. And it's an opportunity not only for us to recognize things, but release them, but to restore balance. Because I do believe that is the objective for us all. We want to get to a more homeostasis type well-being where I'm restored and there's balance in my life and interactions. So this moon is definitely going to pull those energies. And remember, the energies of the different lunar phases last for 2 weeks. So this isn't something that, oh, just because today is the day that it reaches full illumination, that these are the energies that are out. These are going to be out for about 2 weeks. And this one is a very powerful one because here again we have a lot of planetary action with it. We have Saturn, Venus, and Pluto. So those things alone, yes, this is going to hit a soft spot for some people. Again, this is my interpretation of things. If you can always find other resources if you want an in-depth interpretation, I always recommend Astrology King. I appreciate that source because it is definitely broken down to a detail. I'm talking about very detailed. But with all tools, you do have to find your personal relevance to it. And this is why I am sharing my part of it, because I think it is important for us to be able to, okay, yeah, we have a tool, but let me see how I can apply that for me specifically and how others are using it. So this moon is going to, like I said, bring out things, or the energies with this associated with this moon and the planetary involvement is going to bring things to the forefront that it's going to be to a point where something has to be done. You're literally going to have to take action in it, regardless if it's releasing, forgiving, whatever it is, you're going to have to work with these energies and actually do something. So for some people, that's going to be a little challenging. Things are going to get a little haywire. However, I do want you to keep in mind that all of this is happening so that you can restore balance. And there's a really, really big karmatic effect with this one. And don't get scared of karma. Karma isn't all bad. I know karma has such a negative connotation. However, when you understand that karma is essentially your actions this lifetime and other lifetimes, you have to realize that nobody, regardless of how knowledgeable they are, what level socially they are, whomever, nobody escapes karma. Nobody can escape their actions. So this, like I said, may be a little uncomfortable for some, but the objective and what it's going to do overall is going to be amazing. All right. So with Saturn, Venus, and Pluto, it's love, money, relationships, and fears. Like I said, if you want a thorough breakdown of the moon outside of my interpretation, I do recommend Astrology King. You can find other people's, but I definitely wanted to take some time to kind of go through it so maybe you can get a gist of some of the energies that you might be feeling, because again, this isn't just gonna say hey today and be gone tomorrow. This is something that's taken place over about 2 weeks, and then towards the end of this month, we'll have a new moon in my lovely sign Capricorn, and it's also going to be on the same day as the solar eclipse that we won't be able to see over here in America, which sucks. So it's just a good time for releasing, uncovering. But let's talk about the planets that are involved in this. First of all, this is a full moon in Gemini. How could I skip that? So Gemini, we know, talks about communication. So communication is definitely going to be aspect in it, and the duality of communication. Communication, and even for myself, a very articulate person, communication has two sides of it, and you have to be very aware of what you're communicating, how you're communicating, and the effects of your communications, especially right now in love, your finances, currency, abundance, and your fears. So let's talk about Saturn. So Saturn, if you don't know, is the planet of structure, restrictions, and discipline. It is also your 10th astrological house ruler, and that's about social position, status, career, fame, and power. The aspect in this moon that may make people a little tight with Saturn is that it is about restrictions, discipline, structure, and you're gonna need patience for that. So all these things that are coming up concerning love, concerning your fears, concerning your career status, you're actually gonna have to have some structure, organization, and discipline. It may not come exactly how you want it or when you want it, but Saturn is, and Saturn too deals with Chronos, and the thing that again man references is time. It is gonna have you slow down or be very mindful of how you're utilizing time. So that's Saturn. Venus is the planet of pleasure, romance, love. It rules two of our houses. It works with two of our astrological houses. The second, which talks about our economic and financial affairs, and then the sixth house that does talk about love and abundance, the couple, dating, marriage. So with that alone, we're really going to be faced with what is love to us, how we're interacting in these loving relationships, interactions. Even established relationships may be tested and tried, but if we are communicating, if we are letting the things that come up in our loving relationships surface, and we meet them in a way that's gonna benefit both parties, it will stand the test of time. And out of that chaotic experience will come a better interaction, relationship that will best facilitate you. It is also going to be a good time to really look at some issues that we may have with love, that we may have with our finances and things of that nature. And there comes in Saturn that's going to say, well, how disciplined are you? What's your structure with this? How are you utilizing your time and giving energy and effort to these things? And then you have Pluto, which is the planet of transformation, obsession, healing, life, and death. That's our eighth house. That's Scorpio's place. That's fears, death, the unknown. What are your fears? When you think about all this work that we've done all year, like I said, regardless if you're following the lunar cycles or not, you have to understand that a lot of some of what's coming up is that subconscious conditioning that is fear. And those things, whether we acknowledge them or not, really play a part in how we move about. Are my relationships lessons, or do I really have a fear of connecting? So when I meet or I get in these relationships or interactions, my fear that maybe whether I'm acknowledging it or not is exhibited through my actions and causing strife in these interactions. And again, that's how the karma comes into play. Even going back to Venus, when it comes to the abundance part, currency, is my finances not where they are? Is my career not where it is because I have these subconscious fears that I'll allow to act out as evidence as my actions and behaviors? Again, karma. So having a chance to really focus and look at those things, that's the energy that's coming with this full moon today for the next 2 weeks. So enjoy it. So things will surface pertaining to these houses so we can restore balance and answer to karma. And like I said, karma isn't, just don't get the negative connotation with it. Karma is a beautiful thing. It's your actions. If your actions are all rooted out of love, it's not necessarily whether the action is good or bad, because good or bad truly is a human perspective, not a universal perspective. It is what is the intention behind it, So this for me has been a very powerful building up to it because I watch it. It's been a very powerful thing. You know, what's coming up in me, what emotions are stirring in me, what ideas as far as career, what about love. It's just a great opportunity for us to be able to restore balance. And that's all we want, right? Right. So this moon isn't so scary, but it definitely is going to have a lot of high energy with it. During full moons, I will like to say that it's a peak energy time. That's what gets most of us so hype about it. It's a lot of energy. You can feel it. It's the pull of energy. You should be giving gratitude, blessings, celebrate, and release. You know, this is a time where again, these things are coming up so we can deal with them. Celebrate that you're in a space where you can recognize them and deal with them, let them go, give your gratitudes out there so your blessings and abundance can flow in. This moon, using my attune wheel, is some activity that's following under the north direction. And north is about soul. So for me, all that's coming up is definitely going to target and help us with our crown chakra, which is going to be our connection, our spirituality, awareness, self-knowledge, sight, to know. And again, a goal of wisdom, knowledge, and higher consciousness all requires us to know ourselves. All these things that are coming up is an opportunity for us to really get to know, who am I? Who am I? Not what I think I am, but who am I, as evidence as my actions, as evidence as my behaviors, as evidence as the intentions that I'm setting out. And again, if you are like me and you have been following the lunar activity, or if you're just doing work inside of yourself, whether you're using lunar activity or not, because you don't need it, the things that you're asking for, you should see them happening. So being in a position to where you're getting closer and closer to true self-awareness is a beautiful thing. Don't get deterred. It's not easy. I told you that with the video that I recorded. But keep moving. Keep moving and be grateful that you, again, have the opportunity to be able to grasp self and to make your reality better. So for me, the conclusion of this full moon that we're experiencing with the energy is, when it comes to aspects of love, abundance, currency, restrictions, discipline, time management to and for our relationships and our personal efforts, how that will assist in our personal transformations, because that is what Pluto talks about, transformation as well. We're doing all this work for quite some time, all this year, most of us, so that we can transform into a higher version of ourselves. And this moon is high time, high energy, where, yep, it's all coming out so that you can, achieve that transformation with the optimum outcome of what it is you desire, with those things you set intentions for. And the things that we are aware of, what will we do with them? And what do we do with these things? These things that come up, how you handle it, again, is your fate. So as the choice that you make to recognize these things better yourself, once you see that, what do you do with it? Because that's going to be very important. If things come up in me as far as my career and finances, and I recognize it, but I do nothing with it, yeah, I am going to face the karma of doing nothing with it, and I'm going to continue to loop the same cycle, something I don't want to do. Important aspect aside of the experience that is life or others is that we must know self. We must know self. We must know the things that work for us and don't work for us. And with the transformations that a lot of us are have going through, and what's going on with society, we have to be at a point where we understand not only who we are, but what we're doing and how to work with the tools that are around us. So I always come, like I said, out of a place of peace and light. I want to share my experience. May others be encouraged to find their truths, their light, their peace, and for us to all heal together through unity to create a better reality. How we use these tools, of course, will be different. However, I do want you to know that they're out there and you have all the capacity and potential to not only shape and change reality as it is changing, but ourselves. And that is a beautiful thing. I want you to look at the moon tonight when it rises. One moment, let me look at my notes. I know, take notes. 17:48, so about 5:48 this evening. I do believe that's when the full moon will rise again. Just take some time to look at it. You know, ask through unconditional love that you be supported through all these things that are coming up, that you release them as needed, that you do something about these things with the benefit of transforming into your higher self with more balanced and stable interactions. Um, and enjoy. You know, if you have a moon circle to go to or gatherings, just be around good positive energy. Be mindful of your communications. Be mindful of the love that is around you and the connections that you do have. Be mindful of your fears, you know, and acknowledge them, address them so you can get rid of them because they really aren't real. You are loved. You are supported. Again, I always bring my experience. May it help you find your truths. I'm going to enjoy this beautiful moon this evening and for these 2 weeks as things come up. It might not always be pretty, but I know I can get through it. I will get through it, and I am going to get through it so that I can become a better version of myself. Peace and light always. Love, fam.